Today we will learn how to remove and replace a 94 to 97 Honda Accord window regulator. Keep in mind that this tutorial also works for other vehicles as well. We begin by accessing the window regulator, which is behind the door panel. In order to do this, we must first remove all the caps and covers that are hiding the screws. We do this by taking our flathead screwdriver and prying them all out. And then we will take the Phillips screwdriver and take out the screws behind it. And now we do the one on the top. And depending on your model, you may have more or less. Now here we see we have a cap, little circular cap. Just take your flathead and remove that. And there is no screw underneath this one. And next up we have the door handle. This is probably the more tricky one to pull out. As you can see, there's a little circular cap right behind the chrome handle which you pull. Just take the flathead and pry that out. It should pop right out. And there's a little Phillips screw right behind that too. Now to get the rest of this door handle out, just slide it to the right, and then we're going to pull forward as shown here. Behind the door handle there is a power plug which connects to the power lock, and what you do is push down the tab and that pulls right out, as so. And the other thing we're going to do is pull out the rod which is on the left side. Now there's this rod connected right there to that plastic little clip. What we're going to do is take the flathead and push that clip all the way back until the rod is free to come out. And the last part of this is taking the flathead and pushing the rod up till it pops right out, and your door handle is free to move. Now, depending on your model, you may or may not have screws underneath the speaker cover. To take the speaker cover out and find out, you get your flathead and just pry it out. However, on this model, the speaker cover was broken, so it just came out with our hand. And as you can see, we do not have any hidden screws or bolts or anything like that. So we're just going to go ahead and put that right back on. And now our door panel is pretty much ready to come out. The only thing left is there are pressure clips right behind the door panel which you have to just pull it out and it'll come out of the door like so. And once we remove that, we're going to have to remove the power plug from the window switch and the mirror control, and also the light. You see the light in the bottom left corner of the door panel. That also has a plug connected to it. So you first pull back the door panel and it comes out of the pressure clips, and then you push up. As you can see right there, we're pushing up and it's coming out of the groove that door panel is locked into. So now we're at the back of the door panel, and we're going to take out those power plugs, which, as earlier we showed, you push the pin down and pull the plug out. Very simple. Now, if you don't have the power or strength to do that, or if it's stuck in there, you're going to have to get your flathead and push down on the tab and pull back with your hand. And last but not least, the door panel light in the bottom corner right over here. So now we have to take out the white weather seal as you see here, but before we can do that, we have to remove that rusted bracket right here. It's held on by 2 Phillips screws. So once that is out, this white weather seal has to come out, and this is usually glued on. In this case, it's taped on because somebody already pulled it out once. And once you pull this out, you're going to either have to glue it back on or tape it back on. And as you can see, they've taped it back on. So we're just going to pull that out and just remove the wires through the holes that they come through. And now that the weather seal is out and everything else is out of the way, we have to work on removing the window regulator from the door. The first thing we must do is remove the glass, or raise the glass, I should say. Raise it to the very top and also disconnect it from the window regulator. In order to do this, we must raise the glass into a position where the bolts are revealed on the window regulator. The bolts here, if you line up the window regulator with that hole, you're going to see the bolts that connect the glass to the regulator. And these are just 10mm bolts. So you take your 10 socket and undo those. So now we're going to raise the glass and use our tape to hold it up on top so it doesn't fall down on us. Now we're going to remove the power plug of the window regulator from the door wiring harness. So like all the other plugs, we just remove the tab, push down on the tab, and pull back. It'd come right out. Now the plug is out, but we have to take out that zip tie thing right there. It's just like a little tab. It has 2 tabs. You push down on those tabs with both of your fingers and you push into the door, and that should come right out. That will loosen the wire inside the regulator so it can freely be removed. Now that we found and removed the wiring for the regulator. Now we have to take out all the bolts that we can find for the regulator. On this model, there's 7 of those. So take our 10mm and disconnect those. Now, as you can see on the left here, we have one that's kind of in a groove or pocket. Those we don't have to remove all the way, we can do halfway. But the ones on the right, we're going to have to fully remove those to pull it out. And we have 3 more on the right side here. These are also in the groove pockets. So we will just remove those halfway and we can push it back into the door and it will come out. This window regulator should now be loose and we can take it out of the door. The way we would do that is by removing it from that big hole in the door, which everything comes out. If you're changing your door lock, your regulator, or anything else inside of the door, you would take it out of that giant hole right there. So now we get the new one and put it back into the big hole and then line it up where the screws go. And we're just gonna bolt it right back up the way we bolted it off. And now we connect the power plug to the door wiring harness. Now here's a shot of the old one we pulled out. And as you can see, there's a bracket with 2 holes on the left and right. Now those holes are where the window is going to mount onto. And when this bracket goes up and down, and the window's mounted onto it, that's what pushes the window up and down for your car. So what we have to do is line up that bracket, get it into a position, and get the door glass onto that position and put the 10mm bolts onto it. And we'll show you in a second how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect the window switch plug and then turn on the car until that bracket moves into the position we need it to be into. So now as you see, we're moving that bracket up and down, and we'll show you the position it needs to be into. It needs to line up right there. As you can see, there's a hole, which we pulled out that 10mm bolt from earlier. So we're going to get it right there so we can see that bolt again. That way we can screw the window onto that bracket. So we're going to go ahead and leave that there. And then we're going to get the glass and lower that, and then mount it on with the 10mm bolts. And also at this point, you want to turn your key off so you don't drain your battery. So now we're going to put everything back on the way we pulled it off. So put the weather seal on and get the plugs, put them through the hole of the weather seal, and you're going to have to tape it or glue it. And next up we have this rusted bracket which is held on by 2 Phillips screws. Now before putting the door panel back on, we're going to put on all the power plugs. And once we put those on, we can also test the window regulator and make sure it's working through the window switch. Now you see here behind the door panel, we have these pressure clips which slide off. And we're going to just leave those on there. And that's what we pulled out earlier. So we're going to just push those back in. But before we do that, we're going to have to put the door panel from the top on. And we'll show you that in a moment. So after you put the top on, make sure it's snapped in good on top before you put the bottom in, or else you'll have trouble with the door panel. So as you can see, it's on tightly on the top. So now we can get those pressure clips we looked at earlier and push them into the holes. So here we're just going to put the key in and test it out before we assemble anything else one more time. And once you do that, you want to make sure you take the key out so you don't drain your battery. Now simply get the Phillips screws that we took out earlier from the top and the bottom, screw those back in, and then we'll get the caps that we took out and also put those back on top to hide the screws. And if you remember, we had one little cap cover that went on the corner there. So we're just going to go ahead and put that right back on. And that one just presses in, nothing fancy needed. now for the last part, the door handle. So we're going to get that rod, a metal rod right there. We're going to put it back in through the hole of the door handle, and then get that clip and put that clip back around it so it snaps right into that. And now plug the power plug back into the door lock. Now we're going to fit the door handle through that little lock right there. Put it in there, and then we're going to push it to the left. And once we have it in there, we're going to go ahead and take our Phillips screw and put it back in that hole you see. And after we screw that in, we're going to take that little cap that was hiding the screw and put that back in also. And that's how you replace the window regulator. Now at this point you want to make sure you test everything. Test your door handle, that it is opening and closing the door. Test the power locks. You want to test the window switch obviously. And the window motor, make sure the window's going up and down. And also that light in the bottom left corner, you want to see that that's working too. Make sure the door panel is on, snug and tight. Nothing's loose, nothing's hanging out. And that's it for this tutorial. If you guys want to see any other tutorials or have a request for us to do another one, just give us a message on YouTube or visit our website and contact us through there. And have a good day.